Huzzah and good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sir Complains a Lot, and today's video is going to be something a little bit different. So, as you can probably see right now, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a let's build on Sanctuary. Again, this video is not going to be scripted, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm, well, a bit rambly, I guess. But I'm hoping to do more unscripted videos, so tell me what you think. Anyway, so I have already completed the gatehouse and the walls, and I thought, why not record it and show you guys what I'm getting up to. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. I was also thinking about live streaming these, so if you guys would like to see me live stream it, then let me know. But yes, I've already done a sort of basic concrete wall around the first half, but I wanted to be able to kind of walk on the wall. Have guards patrolling along the wall, and also just like extend the height of it, just to make it look even more intimidating. So what we're doing now is we're putting half floors down to obviously be the walkways the guards will walk along. Sanctuary's a bit of a weird shape, so there's a lot of corners and stuff that you have to angle things at. I'm using quite a multitude of mods, but the main ones you'll see in this video will probably be Place Anywhere, which is allowing me to, of course, as the title suggests, place these anywhere. And move it precisely. You'll see quite a lot of precision movement, as I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to these kind of things. So that's what we're doing right now. We're turning it around so we can create a circle. Circle? That's not the right word. Thanks, brain. Kind of create a curve. It's kind of hard to do with like square blocks, but you know, I think it looks okay in the end. These are not going to obviously be floating. I want to kind of make sure everything is supported in my builds and make sure it could actually be held up, like there's actually some support to everything, so that'll come later. But yes, I want to be able to walk in the wall but also on top of it, so that's kind of what we're doing here. What I'm doing now is taking the position of the last one, just moving it down using that Place Anywhere precision stuff. The other mod that I was going to say that we're using today is we're using, if I recall correctly, we're using Homemaker for a couple of the props. And that's about it, I'd say. Obviously I've got quite a lot of mods installed for building purposes and a couple for kind of just gameplay aspects. This is me moving the scaffolding into place to hold this up. Now you might notice, oh, the scaffolding is floating. Yes. However, you won't actually be able to see the bottom of the scaffolding, so it's okay. Now, see, as the wall curves here, I kind of had to like push it in and curve it around. Same with this one, kind of just move it in. Kind of the poles of the two of them, so they would kind of match up and look like it's just one pole. Here, there's a lot of precision movement in this video. I was trying to snap this one to that square there, but then I realized it was just not going to work, so I end up having to just spin it myself. Although I do spend quite a long time just trying it, to no avail. I'm glad you guys... I hope you guys are pleased that this is sped up, because this took a lot of trial and error. I will say that. And I was about to say, I hope I spin that, because this is me looking back on it now. I'm probably going to notice a bunch of mistakes. This is me accidentally spinning the one next to it, because if you accidentally highlight, you can spin the wrong piece. Luckily, I did recall later on there was an undo tool, so yes. There's also going to be cuts in this, just small cuts, because I did do a lot of saving, because I had already done this wall partially, and recorded this, well, and recorded footage, but my computer blue screened while recording another clip last time, and I lost all the progress, so I'm not having that happen again. No. So I was pleased with this bit because it's kind of just lining it up. It all kind of snaps. It's all nice. I don't mind the kind of bits of scaffolding going into the. I was trying to line that up with the single block there. The concrete wall, because it kind of just looks like you've built it in, and I did check later, you can't see them sticking out the other side, so that's all good with me. Yeah, I was trying to fit the scaffolding under the small kind of square piece, but I recognize that they don't really snap that well, So I was like, okay, I'll just do the one next to it and make it snap. There's little precision movements, because, I don't know, I'm a bit of a, as I've said, a bit of a perfectionist. If my voice sounds a bit off, or as you can hear, I'm a bit, I'm struggling to pronounce words, it's because I'm a little bit ill right now. The last video you saw was a kind of pre-done one. I had a video in backup because I've got some stuff coming out, and I was going to put that video in backup. That video used for backup later. Oh, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to snap the scaffolding floor. You may wonder why I'm not using scaffolding floor for the top to make it snap. The reason is that we can get walls to snap to the actual floor pieces, so if we use floor pieces up above, it just saves me time later. I don't mind moving one scaffolding floor down to make it all line up. Now this doesn't go all the way to the ground, so as you can see, if this bottom bit of the wall stays at this height, you won't actually ever see the bits where the scaffolding runs out, which is my plan. But yeah, I'm a little ill right now, so apologies for the voice. I'm also thinking of moving away from scripted videos for the mod reviews, just because scripts are a bit of a hassle to write sometimes, so I mean, that's kind of up to you guys. I'm going to be doing a couple in the next week, mainly because this week's going to be busy for me, got a lot of stuff coming up. It would just be easier for me, but I still want to make videos for you guys, so if you guys do like the unscripted videos, I'll be able to push out more of them. I'll still keep them to as high quality as I can, editing and all that, but I will obviously work on, you know, more videos without having to write a script. Okay, dog meat there. I forget what I was doing there. I think I was listening to music while I was doing this and my music turned off. Yes. Well, you gotta have some form of entertainment. If you're wondering why I moved it down just then, so it's not even, if you have two objects going into each other at the same, I think it's like Z-axis or something, they get like this flickering effect where the two textures are basically fighting with each other to see which one's on top. So if you just move it down a little bit, it gives a bit of an uneven look, which is quite good. And it also stops that flickering, because obviously there's just one dominant texture on the top. I didn't like how in scaffolding there's like this gap. I know why they have it, is because if you... do scaffolding, then obviously there is a gap for the actual scaffold to come through, but we're not using it that way, so I was kind of like, oh, I'll just push it in. We're using different scaffolding pieces along the way just to keep it varied. I tend to do a couple sweeps for these builds. The first one is just the structural one like this. I do tend to to put too much detail into this first run that I probably shouldn't. Oh, I'm using the one over there just to line it up with the position and the height, really. I notice now that a bit of that scaffolding is floating, but I look back on this and it's fine, because this is only, as I say, my first run. So I basically do the basic structure of a building, or in this case a wall, and get that down, get the ideas flowing. And then we go back for another pass, which is my detail path, which is more kind of building, but it's kind of more detailed building, little extra flares and stuff. That's a doorway so you can go into the under part of the wall. We might store things in there, or just have like little... I know I want wire conduits running through the bottom bit of the wall, but suggestions would be quite good for stuff that you want to see. I mean, I'm not like a master builder, so don't expect if you suggest something way advanced for it to be done very well, but it's fine. Now this bit was actually a curve. This is the corner. This takes up a lot of time because the corner is... Obviously these wall pieces are straight across, so we had to use kind of odd methods. So there are these half walls that are like broken that I could use there, and I was like, okay, that's a broken bit, but we could maybe patch it up later, so it kind of looks like it broke over time, but we repaired it. And I was like, oh, we could use them here, but it just wasn't snapping the right way, and I didn't want to have to rotate it. So I then took a... You'll see quite a lot of shrinking after this point, because I realized I could shrink things down to use them a bit differently. So I was like, okay, if it's too big, the square paneling will stick out the side. So I was like, if I shrink it down, and then just, you know, have really small versions, as you can see here, it kind of just looks like smaller paneling was used on that curved bit, and I think it looks quite good. Again, tell me what you guys think. I'm not an expert. And then I was like, oh, I can shrink these down. So I continue to do such. You'll see me quite a lot in this, forgetting that I can turn snapping off, and I end up fighting the snapping when I forget that I can turn it off. And again, not perfect, but then who is perfect? No one's perfect. I haven't noticed that this is the wrong size. There we go. Shrink it down again. This was about 2 hours of work, if I recall correctly. It was fun though, because you just put some music on and have fun doing some Fallout building. I had a lot of fun doing this, so again, I would be more than happy if you guys wanted to do like a live stream of this, and just have a chat with you guys, because there's a lot going on in the world right now, and as it'd be nice if we could just sit down, have a chat, have a little relaxed evening. I was thinking Sunday maybe we could do one of these, and then I could turn it into a sort of sped up video format like this. Or I could take highlights from the stream, turn it into a video. Up to kind of what you guys would be okay seeing. I don't recognize it now, but I'm like, oh, these doors, if I push it down, I can't actually fit through it. But then there, I can just fit through that. So it's like a mini door for short people. It's fine. It's fine. You just have to duck a little bit. But nothing's perfect in the apocalypse, which is quite nice, because in this building aesthetic, it's kind of like, well, this is a built-up settlement, but it's also the apocalypse, it's also the wasteland. So working with uneven surface. Oh, I recognize that the floor here is a bit off, so I pull all the pieces back up. But yeah, like making things that are slightly uneven, not perfect, kind of fits with the aesthetic. It's not really that noticeable. And then I just had to rotate this a little bit. I got it off, but no big deal. Everything lines up still. And there's me falling off. I'll do this a lot until I build a proper way up. I just jump onto it. Speaking of going up, so what we do now is I wanted like protected like bits that guards could kind of be stationed at along the wall. And then I saw the boxcar pieces, and I thought, well, yeah, I mean, these look like something we could theoretically pick up and then just disassemble and reassemble in places. So that's what we did. I moved them onto the wall. So basically what we're doing is it's like a little bit for the guards to hang out. It's in front of the barbed wire on the first part of the wall. And it's just going to be, they're going to use that door, and they're going to have a bit of cover, and they can look out. I recognize there that it was kind of going to one side, but here we go. It may not look painful moving all this stuff, but this is because it's obviously sped up. I just sit there and I spam my keyboard, because you use your number keys for moving this stuff about in the mod. I'll put the mods that I prevalently used in this in the description, like place anywhere and stuff. I ended up being really happy with this top bit. So these are like sections that kind of connect the boxcars together, just to kind of protect the people on the wall, if you like. Oh yeah, I end up moving out the corner, even though it sticks out just a bit, mainly just because I wanted more room to move about on the top. And I was like, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Quite a lot of what you see me doing now, I end up moving about quite a lot, because I'm never really happy. I was playing about with the idea here of windows, but then I thought, if they can already see out of the boxcar areas, windows in this part of the wall would just be a bit unsafe. Like, if someone on the outside sees a guard wandering along and they just take a pot shot. At least when they're in the guard places, they have some cover, and it's made of like proper like thick metal, so they can take cover and stuff. So what I did here was I took the wall from the not the wall, sorry, the ceiling part, so the roof parts from the workshops. Sorry, not the workshop, the warehouse. I'm losing word capability today. That's me being ill, but gotta keep them videos coming for you guys, and I will, because I do enjoy doing these videos. But what I did was I shrunk them down to about, I think it was 50%, 40%, and then moved it along, so they basically line up with the floor below, and it's kind of like this thin yet cozy looking walkway. I really like how this turns out. I don't get the whole wall all the way along the front done right away. In this video, I'm gonna be doing most of it off camera, but it was mainly just to show you guys my creative process and how I come about with these builds. And once you see kind of like the layout, if I just do it off camera, it's kind of just copying the same aesthetic, at least for the front anyway. The walls might change midway around, and if they do, I will be sure to show you guys that. This was me kind of deciding on like, okay, let's have a little bit of damage in the wall that we maybe patch up, just to keep like the idea flowing. And I was tired of falling off just there, so I was like, okay, we're gonna build the way up. So each like boxcar is just gonna have a way up, the guards that can get up this way. I end up changing these stairs, I think, the most out of anything. Half because I'm being pedantic, and half because I end up adding a doorway, like the boxcar doors, and then having to push them over to one side. So yeah. As you can see here, it doesn't quite line up. Like, I don't see the stairs connecting to the, to like the platform that well. Like, it kind of looks like it was floating to me, so I moved it over. Again, that's the bit of me being pedantic. And there goes Preston. On my first attempt at this wall, you would not believe how much Preston shoved against me while I was trying to precision move something, and then I ended up like mucking something up. I mean, enough time. Oh, this is me getting stuck in the floor. Enough times that I ended up shooting him and then quick loading. But yeah, that was me getting stuck in the floor there. I'm glad this is sped up because I spent far too long in there stuck. That was me moving the platforms in just to make it look like they actually do connect. I don't know. Me being pedantic and me just choosing to make it look good. That doorway I put on the boxcar, by the way, doesn't actually stay because I realized later on that it sticks way out of the top, and I opt to use the boxcars instead. Boxcar doors, sorry. Which I think ends up looking better. I just was playing about with ideas, really. That's all this is. Now this corner ends up becoming, if I hadn't already done like a bit of this wall before in like, we'll call it testing. We'll not call it like a blue screen of death ruined video. No. But last time I spent a good hour trying to figure out how to do the walls and the ceilings and make them curve. So this time I only spent about 20 minutes, trying to like curve the top bits. But these roofs, because they don't snap at all really, especially when you shrink it down, because the snap point, as you can see, is still like it's still where the model would have the snap point, so it's floating out the way. So you kind of have to angle these up yourself, which it's fine because it ends up looking good, I'd say, but it just takes a lot of time to do. Now my plan was, oh, here's me saving again. Now my plan was to basically to have the two roofs kind of meet. It would have this little triangle of a hole in the corner, and then I would just use another one to fill in the hole, which ends up looking okay. There's a lot of funky kind of directions when you look at it from the inside, like a lot of weird planks going in several directions. It still looks like something that you could plausibly make. It was quite difficult, obviously, because obviously the bits stick out. I think what I end up doing is I go on the outside of the wall, and I just kind of angle it from there. See, as you can see, I've lined up these two walls, and now there's a little triangle of a gap. See, and I'm trying to fill it in here, but it's hard to do from the inside, because one, you can't select it, and two, you can't really see how it's lining up. I'm moving all sorts of pieces that I'm not meaning to move, and yeah. If you hear a creaking noise, no, it's not my my bowels. There's me falling off again. But no, it's not my bowels. I got a creaky chair. Apologies. Again, as I said, I'm ill, so I'm taking the liberty to move the microphone back and lean back in my chair and be a bit more lazy than I would normally say while recording, because I like to be kind of up in what I'm doing when I'm recording. I like to be kind of close to the mic, and well, not really close, but you know what I mean, like pushed forward. I like to push myself forward. But yeah, I'm having a bit of a relax today, so if the audio sounds a bit off from usual, that's why. But oh, while I'm faffing about with the roof, I noticed that we hit over 50 subs recently. Absolutely amazing. I don't know why you guys have chosen to stick around with me, but I mean, I can't thank you guys enough, and I will keep the content coming. Obviously, this is just as much your channel as it is mine, so if you have any suggestions, then be sure to let me know. This is me playing about with like the idea of different fences, because I was like, I could use the scaffolding ones, but I'd recognized I had already used them. These metal ones I come back to them later, but I end up sticking with the scaffolding ones because I'm like, well, they actually give a little bit more room, because the scaffolding ones do lean out, I guess is the word. This is why I did script my videos before, because I'm quite rambly, but I hope it's some use to you. If you guys like my building style, we can always do a kind of... I can always build some stuff, and we can do some tutorials of like building certain things. This is just me brainstorming at the same time as building something. So it'll be quite hard for me to tell you how to build this. I mean, you can kind of see what I'm doing, getting the gist here if you want to do something similar to it. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. That's absolutely fine. I would be quite flattered. I end up... See, here I'm pushing two fences into each other. Or railings, sorry. I don't like that because obviously, like, you could like weld them together or some weird stuff, but it obviously, when you look at it, it looks like two different pieces you've kind of stuffed into each other in a video game, which I didn't like. Later on, we do some pillaring, which actually helps with that bit. So yeah, I came up with the idea that these things here have an end cap, and I wanted to use that end cap here because it's kind of angled at the top, as you can see, with the ceiling, but not quite the same. So I have to mess about with like angling it in weird directions. This is me jumping up and down. It looks quite funny when it's sped up to try and fit it in. So it's like angle. It's, you know, it sticks through a bit, but I just imagine us using wood and nailing it on at a weird angle just so it would fit. You know, because it's not perfect. It's obviously just a bit of wood at the end, so I was kind of okay with that. Yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yes, 50 subs. So, actually we hit 56, I think, the other day. So, anyone who's clicked that big red button, absolutely thank you very much, because I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, because it really does give you some like motivation. And, you know, I want to keep making stuff for you guys, and I want to keep making good stuff for you guys. I hope the lack of scripting possibly in the future won't deteriorate from like kind of like the effort factor you guys kind of feel for my channel. So I still want to put a lot of effort for you guys. This is me playing about with different kind of barriers of protection, like so the guards can take cover if they came under fire. I didn't want to use the military ones at first, but then I thought, well, we could nab some old world like guard posts. Like we don't use the fat kind of metal ones. Oh, this is me playing about with like the warehouse walls. I end up not using this because we're using far too much wall, like of that wall type, so it just looks a bit repetitive. So to spice things up, I end up, this is me checking if it sticks to the floor, but I end up using the other one. There I am. I'm going to free cam just so I can look around. That reminds me, I am not going to be cheating in any materials for this build. Everything that I will build will be gathered naturally or bought from the in-game stores. Now this snaps. I was really handy this was snapping. So I only had to do a bit of maneuvering, which was nice. I end up moving this barrier again because I add doors. Those blasted doors end up, you know, being really annoying. But nice at the same time. So here I was looking and I was imagining there's two different shades of metal. There's kind of a bluish, kind of colder one, and there's a greenish, kind of warmer colored one. I end up opting for the bluish kind of metal just because it kind of contrasts with the rest of the colors going on, and it you know, it does add to the kind of scrappy look that is like, well, if we could choose, we would use the one of the same warmth, but we can't choose because it's an apocalypse. Now here's me figuring out with the door stuff. I recognize that looks a bit off because it's to one side, so we end up pushing the barrier so that it's centered with the kind of firing zone, or the new firing zone, because that bit of the side's protected by the door, because I forgot that the door doesn't open all the way. we're adding the door on that side because if there's no guard there, you don't want people being able to see in or possibly like snipe all the way through, so they just close up the door. This is me just playing about with sizes, making them fit the railings, like so. I promise I won't be this rambly on a live stream if I was to live stream. I'm quite good at talking, if you haven't noticed, which is good, because that's what you kind of got to do with YouTube. Yeah, it was me just thinking, like, how do I fill these gaps, you know? I played about with using different kind of walls and fences. I end up going for, like, in the thematic and practical, there's a, like, boards of plywood. Now, they're all facing the ground. They're all, like, you know, for the floor. I did play about with the idea of, as you're about to see, angling them, but angling things that are straight down to be, well, vertical. It is plausible, but as soon as you try and move it, the center of, basically the center of where everything rotates from changes, so that it moves, it rotates it as you try, as you can see here, as I'm moving it, it's rotating. You know, I really couldn't manipulate it the way I wanted it to. Which is fine, because the solution we end up going for, which is the using the roof, ends up looking good. So I don't mind that at all. I did play about here with the idea of using cinder blocks, just as like, oh, we've put some cinder blocks down to stop people falling off, which I stuck with for a little bit before we started doing the roof stuff. Looking back on it, they're a bit too wide, like, they take up a lot of room. I was playing about the idea that I could make them look better by, you know, maybe they have like a plate or two on it, or you know, they've just got like tools and stuff sitting on it to make it look a bit better, which could have worked. That's me falling off. Again, I can't stay on structures to save my life. Nice view of Concord there, which is exactly what you want the guards to have. Nice view of the bridge especially. So we're moving it across just like that. And I do check that the barriers are far enough back that the doors could theoretically close, because this is the thing I start having with this wall here, because it's inside the door. So my problem is, if it's inside the door, how am I gonna close the door? It's clipping, you know, I don't like that. So I want my things to look as, like, well, theoretically possible as possible, if that makes sense. A cool thing that I figured out here was, if I've got it selected, I can use the manipulation, like, hotkeys while in FreeCam. So that's quite good. I might use that in the future, but that's just a little tip. If you guys want to look at something while manipulating with Place Everywhere, you can do it in FreeCam if you've got it selected before you go into FreeCam, which is nice. This place is a little, like, barren, like, because obviously I said we haven't done the decoration sweep. I do some basic decorations. Like, the decorations are the thing that I think change the most once you've actually finished a build, because you go in and you're like, well, this could look good here, and then you come back and you think, oh, well, that won't actually fit, so you don't end up going with it, which is fine, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like your creation. You kind of play about with the ideas. Now, this is basically me filling in the floor here, so that you can't see that, well, this is floating. So, one, it looks supported, and two, we're doing the shrinking wall thing here again, and two, we're hiding the fact that the scaffolding is floating, because if you can't see it, you just assume it goes all the way to the ground. I don't mind it being uneven, by the way, there. That kind of just adds to the aesthetic that I quite like. But this snapped all nicely and stuff, and I was very pleased with how this snapped. For some reason, that wanted to snap backwards, which I ended up fixing there when placing the wall next to it. So that there, it goes all the way to the ground. Now you might be saying that the textures look quite boring there. Yes, but it's also the apocalypse, so rusty metal is about the best we can get. I also played with the idea of, like, cornering it off there. The solution I end up going for, I love even more. There is a big gap, you might notice, in the top there, between where the wall starts and this, like, guardhouse, or the gatehouse stops, that people could shoot in. Yes, I don't know if I'll leave that, though, or if I'll fill it in. It's kind of a up-in-the-air thing. Now, this is quite a nice thing. What I end up doing is I use this to kind of round off this side and the back, and then there's an open bit, because it's obviously a corner, so there's 2 open bits. Now the open bit now faces into this flag bit here, so you can change the flag. There you go, there's me demonstrating that in a very sped up motion. Me just like looking at random bits. Most of the time I get distracted and I just kind of like look through the menus sometimes for ideas. What I think I was looking at, yeah, I was looking for like supports. Now this support's a little bit too far out. I try shrinking it down, but I'm not really happy with how it looks per se. In the end, so I end up using these shack columns for supporting things. I start with up here because I had an idea going last time, which I quite liked. Now, in the end, I really like these columns. If you want a building or anything in Fallout 4 when you're doing settlement building to look more realistic, but also feel more kind of, I don't know, homely in the same way, build supports, because people, you know, you will associate with like supports because obviously we have supports for buildings in real life, because otherwise, you know, the world doesn't have Minecraft gravity, if you catch my drift. That's me just checking they don't stick out the roof in a very funny fashion when sped up. But we don't have Minecraft physics in real life, meaning that we have to support things. Now, you get this homely feeling when you kind of just, well, when you feel like you could call that place a home. I end up getting rid of the what do you call it? The concrete blocks there, the cinder blocks, because I don't like them. They kind of clip, and it's just too much. Because I recognize you can't fall out now because of the pillar. But anyway, you know, when something's like, you know, homely, when it feels cozy, it's because we associate it with like real life. And obviously we use pillars in real life. See, that's me getting rid of one cinder block, can't fit, and then I check the other one. I'm like, well, you can't fall out there either. It's a bit of a stretch, but I doubt anyone would fall out. Plus, again, it's the apocalypse. Can't be, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Now we move this along because obviously that can't be stuck in there. Now we had this rather large gap that, you know, the scaffolding couldn't really fit in, and I was kind of playing about with the idea that, okay, so while building this we recognized that these scrapped pieces wouldn't work. So I, again, go, okay, so we would have built something ourselves, something just scrappy, to kind of fill the gap so our guards don't fall off and break their knees. Or necks, in the worst case scenario. So what I end up going with, I think, is, yes, a wire fence, kind of just like chicken wire. So not the sturdiest thing, but if you were to like trip and bump into it, maybe, or just like lose your footing, yeah, you wouldn't just lose your footing and fall over the edge. There would be something there for the guards. It's just something, you know, it doesn't have to be really sturdy, it just has to kind of stop people walking straight off the edge. And as you can see down below, that's a bit of like rusted metal sticking out there, so you definitely don't want to fall on that. I intend to, if I'm going to live stream this, live streams will be on Sunday. So I intend to live stream it on the Sunday if you're interested. And also I'm intending to upload these on the Thursdays, if you guys prefer. If you guys just want me to stick with totally like mod review, mod showcase kind of stuff, I can do that. I was planning on doing a couple, like I was planning on doing some Gary's mod ones as well, just because a friend was like playing Gary's mod, and then I used to play Gary's mod a lot, so I got kind of nostalgic, and then I started playing about with the mods and forgot how much I had forgotten how much they actually were fun. So we're gonna do that, but that's me getting off a bit. So this is me just moving the posts around, if you like. I mean, not if you like, that's what I'm doing, full stop. But there you go, that's my little kind of makeshift chicken wire support barrier, I guess. So, I think this time I'm smart enough to add the... Nope, I'm not. I think this time I should have been smart enough to add the Oh, I hadn't added the boxcar doors to this side yet. See here, this is when I realized, oh, hold on, that's sticking at the top. That'll never do. So I add the boxcar doors. Yeah, this is right. So this is when I add the boxcar doors and realize I'm gonna have to move the entire staircase over to the right. See, because it goes halfway into the... There is a gap to fit those stairs, but it's just not in the middle anymore. So off we go and moving it all to the side. And remember when I said these stairs took up the most time? Yeah, I weren't lying. There we are doing some stairs. This didn't snap for some reason. Like, I had to turn object snap on and off because it just wasn't snapping to that piece. Well, it ends up snapping, but I just didn't know why it was so resistant. I think it was because of the fact that we had moved it and everything was kind of out of place, I guess. But there we go. And me being pedantic, as you can see, the door would hit the railing, so we move the stairs back, see, to allow the railing to be slightly far back so it can move and close the door. We're going to do the same thing at this side, and now because I know the design, which is the good thing about once you've got a design going, you can just keep doing it, is now we can just copy it, which is perfect. I forget if I have to move this. That's me saving again. Look at me, being productive with my time. Well, it's not really productive, but it's a smart move. When you're especially when you're doing modded settlements, a word of warning is save a lot. Because while mods are, you know, they're not the most unstable things ever, when you have a lot of mods, especially because you can have quite a lot for, this is me checking if it slides, and it does. Very tightly, but it does. It's good. For settlements, you can have tons of mods because they all look very appealing, and they are very appealing and useful. So you tend to have quite a lot for settlement building. When you start adding mods up, the likelihood of crashing or having issues increases. And also, if you just muck up really bad, it's good to just save quite often. I think I saved every hour or so during this little session here, which I would recommend you save every half hour actually, so that's me doing a bad. But I kind of just got into it listening to music and forgot. I was going to use a ramp there, but I was like, there's these little wooden stairs and I could just move them over. Don't know how useful they are, but, you know. Might get rid of the tripping, maybe. I might move that down looking at it now, so that the top bit is just a first step, and then the second bit you just step up onto the actual platform. This is what it looks like under the wall. Don't know what I'll put down there. Again, suggestions. I want to put power conduits, I know that. Oh, this is me playing about again with designs for keeping the boxcar up. I end up going for just solid wooden support, like the planks, not the planks, the poles, those ones. But I first look at these shack supports, I'm like, well, if I shrink them down, it doesn't stick out as far. But then that looks a bit flimsy to me. Like, I don't realistically think... But then again, it's already attached to the top bit, so it didn't have to be really. But I just didn't like the bit sticking out, you know? I felt like in a post-apocalypse, we wouldn't waste wood. Because this is obviously something we've built, because that looked quite, you know, ramshackled together. We wouldn't waste wood and making it stick out extra far. We would just make a wood pole and then just support it on that. So I think each boxcar, ends up getting 3 shack column kind of deals. It was just lining them up. You kind of just stick 2 of them into each other, and then it looks like an extra long pole, so it's good. This was a lot of fun to do, he says. Lying. This was rather tedious. Oh, and again, sorry if I'm not as entertaining or funny as I am sometimes. Being ill really drains your soul. Oh, not that I had a soul to begin with. No, I'm not Ginger, I'm just a teenager, you know how it is. Fellow teenagers, you know how it is. If you're not a teenager, then you will have known how it was. And if you're a younger viewer, then hello? This is not a kids channel. I had to say that thing on YouTube, stating that this wasn't a kids channel, so you're gonna get me in trouble. And if you're under 13, what are you doing on YouTube? Big bad. Get off. Go watch CBBS. Or kids cartoons, I don't know. And chat columns. Oh, this is fun. This is basically me just talking because it's me just lining up these chat columns here. Again, if you like these kind of me rambling kind of videos, let me know, because I'd be more than happy to do more of them while I build. But if I do it in a live stream form, I'll be rambling live to you lot, which might be a very good or a very bad thing, depending on if you value your eardrums. I don't particularly, considering one of them's not as functional as it should be, and the other one's just heard enough loud things in my life to kind of go with it. But as you can see, I kind of ramble about anything. We're now rambling about eardrums. But yes, this is me just tediously lining these up. It's a bunch of like moving up and down and rotating. You might be thinking, oh, but these might be sticking through the floor. Some of them were, but I do remember to go through and move them down below the boxcar so that none of them are sticking up through the floor above. So that would be bad. That'd be a tripping hazard and a half. We wouldn't want that. But yeah, there we go. I think it's about 3 in-game days that was gone by now. I'm not really paying attention to the day-night cycle. I could have kept it permanently day, but well, to be honest, I just forgot. Here are the dastardly tripping hazards. I luckily didn't press down there because it selected the boxcar. I would have moved the whole thing. The way I kind of tell that it's not sticking up all the way through and it's kind of not supporting it at all is when the green outline, you kind of stop seeing it go up, is when it's in another object. So I'm just trying to get in a good position here to move the shack column and not anything else. Doing it from above and like angling it myself down was good. None of those were sticking up, which was good. Actually, they were the first ones I did. Here's me playing about with like, okay, I need to fill this gap, but realistically, maybe we don't fill this gap. Or if we do, I just haven't thought of a good way to do it. Again, suggestions are welcome. I just don't know what to fill it with. There is barbed wire and a really high fence, and there's gonna be turrets. So it's not exactly like there's no deterrent. Like I wouldn't go and climb up this wall. Okay, so this is me now looking at the finished product for today. So this is what the wall design is gonna look like. The boxed cars are gonna get less and less frequent. It's just because this is the front. So this is the bit that everyone will assault. Really, kind of any enemies will come this way more often than not. We're gonna have watchtowers around the place, so it's not gonna be like there's no deterrent at the back. But the boxcars will get less and less frequent. This is just the little gatehouse bit. I end up removing these shadow casting lights because they are quite FPS intensive, but this is kind of what we got going on in here right now for decorations. Gonna change a bit, but we got good old Mama Murphy on there. A broken AC unit, just a little bit like that. There are cinder blocks, as you can see, holding up that platform, because I don't like things hovering. Those god rays with the flag, that's quite nice. But yeah, this platform here, held up. There's more like chicken wire fences, just stopping people falling off, because we don't want any accidents in the workforce. You can talk to the guards down there from the platform up here. So the guards have like a little like, what do they call these, like shooting galleries? You can kind of aim through them. So yeah, I think it looks quite good. Then again, I don't want to seem partial to my own building, but I'm proud of this. Like, it's a good start, personally, I would think. Yep, see, look, there's those pillar supports, which I quite like. There's a bit of flickering there, but I don't think anyone will notice that, and if they do, I will just try and ignore the comment that they've seen it, because I don't want to have to move that again. Yes, up we come. So these are where the guards will sit. No decorations as of yet, just basic shape, as I said before. So yeah, they can kind of look out if they need to go off duty, or if it gets too like hectic, they can close the door. You can obviously, yeah, duck behind there. So that's a guard post. They've got all this room for like stuff. They can go walking along. There's our makeshift chicken wire protection from broken knees. You can't go through there, despite like, you know, what you think. So we're all good there. There's another one. Great view of the front there. These, you know, that's why we have more guard posts here, because they have great views and great like crossfire bits. Obviously you can close it up if there's no guard on duty here, or maybe if there is one, we can close the door. Not quite sure. So anyway, yeah, this has been the start of my little sanctuary build. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like and maybe even subscribe. It's free after all. Again, comment down below if you'd like to see me do a live stream building here. I'd be more than happy to do that and have a chat with all you guys. I hope you're all doing well and continue to do well. Thank you for 50 subs. And yeah, I will see you lot in the next video. Ta-ra!